Would you be okay with it or not? I got a story for y'all. It's a good one. Let me give you the scenario. This happened my second year in real estate. I've been in 11 years now. So I had a client. It was a buyer that I was representing, and he was very, very excited about purchasing this house. Okay. He had it under contract. We scheduled a showing at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because he wanted to see it at night. The seller declines. What does he do? He shows up anyway. So night after night, it was probably 5 or 6 times, y'all. He would show up at night after like 7 or 8. I think on the latest it was like 10 o'clock at night. And the seller, her husband worked away from home. So he traveled a lot. So she was there with 2 small kids, and she kept getting motion detected, or like she would see the backyard lights come on, from the motion. So I kept getting calls from the seller's agent, like, hey, your client is at the property again. And then, hey, he's back again, night after night. I had several conversations with him explaining to him he can't do that. You can't show up to the seller's house like that. His thing was, I'm about to spend a lot of money. So I want to make sure it's a good purchase for my family. So I want to go to the property at all types of times to make sure there's no dogs barking, there's no loud music. He wanted to make sure that his family would be comfortable there. Well, in the process, he was making the seller uncomfortable. So there was one night I got a call. I did not answer. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't answer. And because I knew it was about the buyer. And the seller's agent texted me and said, hey, I'm just going to advise my client to call the police at this point. So I was like, okay. I woke up the next morning and I had a message from the seller's agent saying that the seller was going to refuse to close all closing documents. She just wanted out of the contract. She no longer felt safe in her own home. She was just done with this buyer. So I went to the buyer and let him know. I said, hey, you can seek legal advice. This is out of my element, because it's really, really hard for a seller to cancel a contract here in Texas. However, the circumstances make it a little bit different. So at this point, you need to seek legal advice. The buyer was very upset. He ultimately decided to let the seller out of the contract. He got his earnest money back, because the seller started to say, if you don't let us out of the contract, we will pursue a charges because you trespassed on the property. At some point, because he kept coming back so frequently, she put up a no trespassing sign on her yard. So she said, you can either let us out of this contract or we are pressing charges for trespassing. The buyer ultimately walked away. But the question is, would you be okay with it? This is a dumb question. Would you be okay with them coming anytime that they want, just to make sure that they don't have, that they're not going to have any issues with like loud music from neighbors or dogs barking or anything like that? Or would you say, sir, get away from my property, stay off my property? What would you do? Would you be okay with it or not?